Okay, welcome everybody to the Torrance Historical Society Museum. We're pleased to be doing a Women's History Month celebration along with the League of Women Voters. And I would like to introduce the League of Women Voters President, Athena Paquette.
Thank you, and thank you to the Torrance Historical Society for inviting us. We're really pleased to be doing this. 5 years ago, we did a celebration that was the women's right to vote was won here in California, and that was a huge thing in a ballroom. And so this is more low-key, and we hope to do a lot of sharing today, which we weren't able to do last time. So before I start, thank you again to Jill, the president of the Torrance Historical Society, for inviting us, and everyone who helped, including Janet and our crew. I also wanted to acknowledge Mayor Fury. Torrance's Mayor Fury is here. Former Mayor Dee Hardison is here with us. And Kurt Wiedemann, who is a council person for Torrance, but also a lover of the history of Torrance and the past president of the Torrance Historical Society. So welcome everyone, and this started as just like, let's have some cake and punch. And now, because of one of our members wanting to share the history and her experience of the League in the very beginning, we are going to invite people to share today. So, so before we get started, so the League formed March of 1962, and our first president was Ruth Nadell, and she lived down in Orange County, so she wasn't able to be here. But other past presidents that are here are Ruth Vogel, who's going to be sharing, Linda Brown. Where's Linda Brown? Okay, Linda Brown, who I think I'm surpassing you, but she's our longest running president, past president. And I told her I didn't want to beat her, but you know how that goes. And then Lola Unger. Where's Lola? Oh, there she is. And then Marilyn Van Oppen, who's right up here. And then Tibby Lanzer, also a past president. Did I forget anybody? Okay, good. Wow, that's a first. Okay. And then we are 55 years, yes. Oh, Pat Cronka. Where is she? Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Pat.
She's a newbie.
She's a newbie, okay, got it. Okay, so the League is 55 years old, but we have members who have been members for 50 years. And so I'm going to need help with this, but I know Mike Terry is one of them. There she is. And Tibby Lancer, of course, and Marilyn Van Oppen. Am I being dinged already? Oh, okay, you have a hook. Okay, it's different here. Okay. Okay. And so do we have anybody else who's been in the League more than 50 years? No? Okay. Okay, and then before we get started with the sharing, I just wanted to acknowledge we lost two very important members this year. Jamie Watson. I'm sorry. Okay, Jamie Watson and Gladys Speed. Okay. Emma's our communications director. Okay, so now I'd like to start with the person who really wanted to share the early history of our group and, you know, how the League really changed her life. I know it's changed my life for way better, and I'm learning so much. So Ruth would like to start. She's a past president, but she also was there in the early days and just wants to share what it was like and whatever comes to mind. And then also, if anyone else would like to share after this, then just come up, and whoever wants to share. I'm videotaping it because I think it's important to document all our memories, but also the stories and who we all are, because one day we won't be here, and now it's going to be a record. So, okay, come on up.
As a longtime, and forgive me, but I must read. As a longtime member of the Torrance League and a past president, 1977 to 1979, I have now paused to reflect and share with you some thoughts and memories of those early golden years. I joined in the very early 70s. Tibby Lancer was president, soon to be followed by Vicki Birdsall. I joined to get away from my very young and lively kids and was in and was in need of some mature adult involvement. Perhaps many of you did for the same reason. Little did I know what I was getting into, but it was a great ride, and for me, one of personal growth, much of which I owe to the League experience and the women who shaped that experience. Remember, this was a time when women were supposed to be seen and not heard. This did not apply to League women. I was totally in awe of them. This was also a time of not very good mayoral leadership, etc. I will not go into names and details, however. Quietly working behind the scenes were formidable local League women, among them Katie Geisert, Marilyn Van Oppen, Ruth Nadell, and Gladys Mead, and many others. And lo and behold, a new era of good government, quote unquote, as I like to call it, came into power, and which for the most part has continued into this day, beginning with Ken Miller, then Jim Armstrong, Katie, Dee Hardison, etc., except for someone years back who shall remain nameless. There are still some of us alive who remember who and where the bones are buried. Let me just reflect on Katie, who at the outset scoffed at my first League portfolio, foreign policy, and said to me, "Ruth, why waste your time on foreign policy where you will have little effect?" And she said, I quote, "Everything is local." And she was right. Katie was instrumental in spearheading the major early League study of local planning. This may have been the first local study undertaken by our League, and that is when and where it all began. Katie, as I am sure you well know, was a monumental force of nature, a tidal wave who went on to spearhead People for Parks, as well as the battle to establish the Torrance Library facility and remove our libraries from the county domain, and on and on and on. She joined not too long after with Marilyn Ryan from the PV League, Gladys Mead, and with others together spearheaded Save Our Coastline, which ultimately led to the successful Save Our Coastline ballot measure, which has been instrumental in saving large portions of our beautiful coastline from overdevelopment. Also, more recently, thanks to Steve Lopez from the mainstream media, LA Times. Many of us followed along on these adventures like lemmings, just thrilled and excited to be a part of it. Wherever Katie went, we followed. I remember sitting in Gladys Mead's living room when Katie, Marilyn Ryan, and others gathered to discuss how to proceed on the coastline effort. I was speechless and in awe of their knowledge, and especially their political savvy. What a glorious and thrilling experience it was for me. I'm sure that there were others present at that time, but these three women stood out for me. Sad to say that dear Gladys, Katie, and Marilyn Ryan have since gone on to a meeting in the sky, and they are missed. Out of these golden years, many Torrance League women went on to be elected to Torrance City Council, Torrance School Board, and many city commissions. Katie, of course, Parks and Recreation Commissioner, then the first woman elected to the Torrance City Council, only to discover that there was no women's bathroom on the third floor in City Hall. Then that changed quickly. Then ultimately, she was elected mayor. Gladys Mead, environmental study chair, clean air advocate, ultimately attained an important position with the LA Lung Association. She did a housing study, was chair of a housing study while she was still working. Much later on, of which Dee Hardison was a part of and an instrumental member of that committee. Also found time in 2004 to be League co-president with Linda Brown. Wow, I'd forgotten all that. Ruth Nadell, founder of the Torrance League and first president in 1962, and too bad she can't be here. After the planning study, she returned to UCLA and received her master's degree from the Department of Architecture and Urban Planning, a very prestigious department at that time, and it might yet still be, and then became Director of Planning for the City of Beverly Hills. Marilyn Van Oppen, League President 1967, graduated after this study. The planning study triggered all of this growth and development, I do believe. Graduated summa cum laude from Cal State Dominguez, majoring in history, literature, and art. Then went on to UCLA's paralegal program, ultimately becoming paralegal assistant to Stanley Rummelmeyer, who was then Torrance City Attorney. And by the way, stepfather to Jamie Watson, sadly now deceased. Marilyn also served on the Civil Service Commission. Rosalie Woodward became a Torrance City planner. Venora Lee helped spearhead Friends of Madrona Marsh and provided wise counsel to then President of the Friends, Grace Lear. They both, with help from many others, were instrumental in overseeing the successful 10-year fight to preserve the marsh. Just as an aside, at the time I was co-chair with Virginia Hilker of Friends of Madrona Marsh Speakers Bureau. We would walk into men's club meetings, Chamber of Commerce, Lions, Rotary, etc., whispering to each other, "Right is on our side." All the while our knees were shaking. Trust me, this was not friendly territory. Sorry if I have, but I've forgiven them. Sorry if I have forgotten the year the Friends was formed, but it was a 10-year battle, maybe more, to achieve preservation, but a battle that League members were heavily involved in those years. My husband and children have long since forgiven me for all those years of TV dinners, whilst I scurried out to countless civic and city meetings. And aren't you all glad that it prevailed? Janet Pryor, sadly deceased, Torrance League President, 1972, spoke to City Council on behalf of the League on numerous occasions, supporting efforts to save Madrona Marsh. Support for the marsh was an outgrowth of our study. She later became a Torrance City Planning Associate. Eunice Hargrove, spirited follower and supporter of all these early endeavors, plus many more, and even continues to this day. Joined the League early on, previously graduated from UC Berkeley, and later earned a master's degree after this study in geography at Long Beach State, and helped write many EIR reports for a variety of planning departments and offices, planning offices elsewhere in our area, among many other things that Eunice has done. I also want to give special recognition to Tibby Lanzer, who is present today. She was League President in 1964, back in the day when it was all starting, and then again from 1969 to 1971, and ultimately went on to be County League President. I do remember Tibby well. She was the consummate League President who led in a quiet but extremely knowledgeable and professional manner, and always with great dignity and humility. Thank you, Tibby. Ruth Nadell, Katie Geisert, Marilyn Van Oppen, and Tibby were great leadership role models for me, and I really looked up to them in awe, though I have not always been so quiet. Let me not forget to mention the following women who came later. Dee Hardison, Planning Commissioner, City Council member, and ultimately Mayor. Those are just a few of her accomplishments. Marcia Cribbs, Civil Service Commissioner, City Council member. Sue Herbers, Torrance City Clerk. Lola Unger, President 1987 to 1989, and then 3 times after. She may be in competition with Linda Brown. Co-President from 2002 to 2003, co-president from 2009 to 2010, president from 2010 to 2011, and co-president 2011 to 2012. Also served on LA County Board. Were you County League president at one time? You should have been. And at the same time was head of the planning department for the city of Rolling Hills. I mean, these were just really amazing women. I also want to pay tribute to the legions of leaguers in those early years, mainly those first 2 decades of the Torrance League that I remember so vividly, who were on the march in all these endeavors, inspired by particularly Katie, Gladys, etc., and worked tirelessly and endlessly in their behalf. Among them, Sidney Morrison, Mike Terry, Jeanette Pearson, Celeste Bailey, Laura Dubrow, Celia Kelman, Jerry Rishi, Agatha Berwanger, Pat Terrell, a former president, 1975 to 1977, Naomi Levitt, Dorothy Baker, by the way, both of whom went on to serve with distinction on the TUSD school board back in those early days. So these are just some of my reflections on those early Torrance League days and what it meant to me to be a very small part of this dynamic group of women. I am still in awe of the power, intellect, and amazing accomplishments that these women achieved. And I like to think that the League of Women Voters of Torrance affiliation brought them, as well as many others, to an awakening where they could attain their full potential. I apologize if I have inadvertently left anyone out, but the memory dims.
Okay, well, I think that said it all for most of us. That was amazing. So we're going to take a little pause. I see you're all rushing the stage to share your memories. So did anyone else want to come up and share? If not, and it's okay if not, And just so you know, Kay White couldn't be here today. But all these, well, not the newspaper articles that I researched on the fabulous online service that City of Torrance has, all these Torrance Herald newspapers are microfiched, and so you may go slightly blind trying to do this, but you can see all kinds of great articles. So I've got Katie Geiser doing a pros and cons. She looks to be about 26, or I think I did the math, but one of her first pros and cons. There's the first mobile voting machine. You'll probably have to look and find it. And our formation meetings. So it's really neat things. The books, the proclamations, those all came from the archives that I picked up from Kay White. So there's a lot more. Obviously, I just picked some. But please do look at those. There's old voter newsletters with all kinds of great articles. It's just amazing to look back in time and see all that the League has done. I was reminded that we are looking for a secretary for the board, and we are looking for a treasurer for the board, and a newsletter editor. We do have one, but she's, she would like to have someone take over for her. So if you know anyone who wants to do a small part, I call them one and done volunteering or being on the board. We welcome men and women, all ages. Our youngest person member is a senior at South High, and you're going to see that in our upcoming newsletter. She did a study of voter apathy, and I was her mentor, and it was fabulous. And for a shy girl to go to El Camino at, I think she's 17, right? Yes. 17-year-old. She got out there and she tried to interview people, and it was amazing. So hopefully you'll be able to see the results of her study, her mini study project, and it was for the Girl Scouts Gold Badge. I guess very few Girl Scouts get up to that level, and she just emailed me that she passed or her project was accepted. So we're just so excited. Her name's Rachel, so hopefully you'll see her real soon. So that's it for my presentation. Anybody rushing to stay? Oh, yes, Janet.
I just wanted to say how pleased we are today. This is sort of an interesting partnership we have with the League of Women Voters. It was really kind of an accident that we joined you in keeping your history alive by having some meeting space and then this surprise today. But when you came in today, you had some items in your archives, and I was really happy to be able to provide you just a few little protective things for some of your important stuff. But if you want to keep your own, all of your own archives, we can be happy to advise you on places to buy the materials and how to do it. We would also invite you to put some of your things in our permanent archives. If we would be happy to, but we're not trying to steal your stuff away. So if you have duplicates of anything, we can go on. We have a very small file on you. And one thing today, you sort of summarized something, and we would like a copy of that.
I'm happy I could remember what I meant.
Well, see, that's the problem. We forget. They just did a presentation on Thursday night. I forgot who might have been there besides myself. No, okay. And it was on 3 important women in history, and one of them was Katie Geisert. And you know, other than the digitized records that you can access online that was done by the City of Torrance, the library, Friends of the Library, and the Historical Society, that was a $60,000 investment. That's the most incredible resource we have now. And we found with researching that, we don't have a lot of records in one place on Katie, or let's say Kay White, or you, or anybody. So, are you? Just think, you have a lot of materials about yourself, and don't be embarrassed. Because I said to myself, this is a great deal. I'm taking all my stuff and letting the museum have it. Then if somebody wants to... but here is the point. You have it. Sometime we might want something on you, Dee, and if you threw it away because you were tired of it, I know. I'm just saying, we don't throw much away unless it has bugs in it. Please bring your things and let us help you.
That's an awesome idea.
And was there a lady named Jeanette that everybody called the General that was Katie's sidekick in the league?
Jeanette
Did you mention her name?
You did.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
She was a stalwart.
And what's amazing is I didn't even know any of these people, and I had this, this urgent feeling that I should interview her, and I interviewed her in June before she passed away. So we actually have video of her telling of her experience in the league, which I'm so grateful for because I really didn't know, So, so I think that does it. Is that good? Okay, so we're going to adjourn this part. Yes?
Unless somebody wants to do it to everybody.
Right. So again, if you'd like to share right now, come on up. Okay. Dee, are you wanting to share?
I just want to share a couple things on Kate.
Okay, could you come up so we have you on the camera and the, okay. Okay. I was hoping you would share. There you go.
You know, Katie was the fearless leader for me, and it was most interesting when I was elected to the council afterwards, and Katie wasn't used to kind of sharing, but I think she was ultimately she was happy to have another woman. But so when we first came, I remember after about the first council meeting or two, Katie kind of lived in her office there, and mine was kind of down around the corner, and she had this habit of she'd go, "OD," which meant troops over there, because she wanted to talk to me about something, and she, in the very beginning, she would. She kind of thought in the beginning that she should tell me what to do and I would just do it. But she had not known me very long, and I'm kind of an independent person also, as she was. So it was a little interesting. So I remember one of the first OD we went to, it was after we had one of the meetings, and it was a planning commission item. I don't remember the item, it doesn't matter, but she started to ask me why I voted the way I did. And that was not a very smart idea of hers. So I think we only had that conversation one time. And so that it was very apparent that I valued her, and I could never, ever speak to the wisdom she gave me along, but I was an independent voter, and I was going to vote. And that took a little doing with Katie to do, but that was also interesting along the way. Katie also, as time moved on, don't let me forget about the bathroom, I got to tell you about that. As time went on, Katie would also, things moved on, and we needed to, Katie ran for election. The idea was you get your friends, you get in the pickup truck, and you drive around and let people drop off your things. And by the time I was looking to go further and do other things to run for the mayor's office, it was apparent that you had to do things a little differently, like you have to get a consultant in that. And she thought, she kept telling me that was a waste of money. It was a waste of money. You just get in a vehicle and drive around and pass out your brochures. But we had a very, very good relationship. When she was still in office, and obviously, but it was apparent that I was going to be coming into higher office. She said, well, we need to do something. There was only the one restroom, and the restroom belonged to the men, and they actually had a shower also. So I think she figured I was pretty serious and that I was going to get elected, then she said, we need to have a conversation about that. So we sort of ganged up, and because we had to go clear down the hall to find a restroom. So what we ended up doing was put a little pressure on some of the staff and things. Ultimately, the shower they had went away, and we got our own restroom, so we didn't have to go wandering around. So that was a pretty good thing. I think the other just thing briefly, and I don't want to go on and on, but the other thing was when Katie was ready to go out of, like I said, she was a wonderful person, and I could always go to her for advice. Sometimes solicited and sometimes not, but always advice that was well done. So when the time came that she was going to leave office, she basically, we met and talked a bit more about things and stuff like that. But I valued her, but I knew that once she was no longer the mayor, and I was the mayor, I had to find a job for her because, she had to have a job. So I sort of unofficially made her the mayor of the Cultural Arts Center. But we needed her desperately for that because she's the one that got in there and did the lead and got the cultural arts thing going and what have you. And the only agreement that I agreed to is that when she wanted to go out soliciting for money, and she was very good at that, when she wanted to do that, she just had to call me and say, Dee, put this on your calendar and come. I had to go with her because but we worked together. She went after the money, and she was very, very good at that. I think just in closing, the thing that was probably the hardest when she knew she had not too long left to live, and she planned her own services down to the nth deal, and so she called me in. We had to have a little conversation because she said, all right, Dee, I'm going to tell you what your part is, and you're going to do, this is what you're going to do. She said, basically, because she said you're going to get up there and bawl and what have you. So I'm going to have you go on first, and this is the kind of thing I want you to say about me and what have you, and get in and get out while you still have it together. So anyway, so those are just some of the wonderful things I remember about Katie, and I wanted to make sure and share those with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Isn't that amazing? So I kind of thought this might become a Katie Fest. So does anyone else have something to share about Katie? No? Okay. And then I think we're going to adjourn, close this out at 4. So enjoy the snacks and please share on the video, and we hope to see you at our events. So thank you very much for coming today.